And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week. It's Memorial Day weekend and the unofficial start of summer. And you know that I love summer. And once when I was lamenting the fact that we have other seasons, somebody said, well, Charlie, wouldn't you miss the change of seasons, which are so famous in your home state of Pennsylvania? And I said, well, I probably would. So as far as I'm concerned, you could have 1 day of winter because I like a white Christmas, 2 days of fall, 2 days of spring, and 360 of summer. That would suit me just fine. So I love the beginning of summer and look forward to every minute of it, as I hope all of you do. And this week, 2 new entries into the race for the presidency in 2024. Big names on the Republican side. First, Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, about whom I've talked previously. A great personal story and a real emphasis on policy, which I think is something that's going to come to his benefit during the course of the campaign, because so far a lot of candidates aren't talking about policy. They're more focused on personality. And then the big announcement later in the week from Ron DeSantis, who chose Twitter and Elon Musk with a couple of glitches and hiccups, but nevertheless got 20 million folks to tune in. That's so significant in and of itself. And the next day, all of the chatter across the country was about the DeSantis announcement. So obviously, he is the big fish in the pond right now, opposite Donald J. Trump. But the good thing for Republicans is there are a significant number of Republicans already announcing their candidacy and more yet to come. That says that the Republicans believe they have a really great opportunity to win back the White House in 2024. I happen to agree with that assessment, and I think that a large field of candidates is actually beneficial. Some people, oh, we can't have these primaries and this and that, but we need to vet or test candidates over time and under pressure. This is going to give the Republican electorate and ultimately the people of the United States the opportunity to see how these candidates perform over time and under pressure, to see what their real mettle is, to see what they're really made of, to see whether their policy pronouncements really add up, to see whether their message comports with the reality of they themselves as the messengers, but also with their character. That is ultimately to the benefit of all, and it's going to be an exciting race to 2024. And in cultural news, a couple of items came up this week. First of all, in yet another example of why people are turning away from professional sports, the Los Angeles Dodgers invited, after uninviting and reinviting and disinviting, they invited back this group of truly blasphemous, anti-Christian, anti-Catholic nun impersonators to their gay pride LGBTQ celebration at Dodger Stadium. It just doesn't end. And we also saw Target this week going up with ads for, I forget what they even call them, but they were basically bathing suits to conceal male anatomy. And this kind of craziness has really been rejected by the consumers. Target stock down dramatically midweek, and just like Bud Light, which continues to feel the fallout of their bad decisions, if you go woke, you go broke. And the world this week lost Tina Turner, the queen of rock and roll to many. May she rest in peace. And finally, this is Memorial Day weekend, a time for really solemn observance and respect for those who gave the last full measure of devotion to our country and sacrificed their lives in the defense of us, our freedoms, and our way of life. This is, as I said last week, not Armed Forces Day, it's not Veterans Day, it's Memorial Day. And at 3 o'clock on Monday, I hope that each of you and each of us will take a moment of silence to reflect upon those who did give their lives in service of our country. You know, Memorial Day has a lot of historic antecedents, and Pennsylvania, my home state, has the proudest tradition. It really began at Gettysburg in 1863, although a lot of folks give credit to Captain John Logan and the Grand Army of the Republic 5 years later, where the date of May 30th was set originally as the date for Memorial Day. But in 1864, on July the 4th, they had the first real Memorial Day celebration in Boalsburg, Pennsylvania, near State College in the mid-state of Pennsylvania, the first of the great Pennsylvania connections to Memorial Day. The second being the longest running Memorial Day parade in Doylestown, PA, where I used to live. And yeah, there's some town out in Wisconsin that claims they had one a year earlier. Don't believe it. The truth is, it's Pennsylvania. But in seriousness, Monday is a very special day. It's now Memorial Day, celebrated on the last Monday in May rather than on May 30th. And again, please take a moment at 3 o'clock, but also see if you can find one of those poppies that when I was a kid were ubiquitous. The American Legion distributed them for a small contribution, and everybody wore the red poppy, which goes back to the First World War and the famous poem about Flanders Field and the sacrifice of the Allies there. If you can find one, please wear one, make a contribution to the Legion, but regardless, please take a moment to observe Memorial Day amidst all the parties and picnics and backyard barbecues and times down at the shore or up at the mountains. Remember what it's really all about, because for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.